President Obama speaking in his hometown of Chicago, a city that has, in essence, really become the national symbol of gun violence. Just this past weekend, Chicago had 28 people shot, 6 of them killed. The president using words to support, in fact, 3 times, not once, not twice, but 3 times. He started by thanking the police chiefs who are in the audience, police and, of course, law enforcement officers there, pushing for harsher gun control laws. So far this year, 101 law enforcement officers have been killed in the line of duty, compared to 133 in all of 2014. And right here in New York City, a police officer just lost his life to gunfire last week. With us now exclusively, former NYPD Commissioner Bernard Kerik. He was with the president at the White House last week for a conference with other, 100-plus law enforcement officers.
About 130 chiefs.
What do you think of this speech and what he said?
I think it was a great opening. I think the police chiefs around the country need to know they're being supported by the president, by their governors, by their mayors. I think the things that the president said today, I personally wish I would have heard him say on numerous occasions over the last several months, years. But I have to tell you, the opening of this speech was, in my opinion, phenomenal. He
said the country is safer because of you, because of the law enforcement officers who are in the audience. He also said, he mentioned, and he tipped his hat to the, quote, countless acts of kindness and selfless acts that police are sometimes caught, television and perhaps video. And, there are some wonderful police officers there. In the wake of these very controversial shootings in Ferguson and in Baltimore, it's interesting to see him take this tone.
But Liz, you have to look at the numbers. Realistically, there were probably 20 million arrests a year and probably another 20 million confrontations between police and the citizens of this country on an annual basis. We take 4, 5, 6, 10 incidents a year, and we completely broad brush the police service, local and state police service, as a result of those incidents, and it shouldn't be. That's not what the police departments do.
He is pushing and advocating to change the prison system. How does that relate to reducing gun violence?
Well, I think, one, nonviolent first-time offenders in the drug arena and others, as I've talked about continually, I've seen commercial fishermen that caught too many fish in prison. Somebody sells a whale's tooth on eBay. Somebody enhances their income on a mortgage application to buy their first home.
And they're thrown in prison.
And they're thrown in prison. We're taking up bed space. You could use those resources to put more cops in the streets. One thing he said, the COPS program, putting more cops in the streets. Cities like Newark, New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, Baltimore, they need more cops. They need more resources to do the job they're supposed to do and drive down crime. I think that is one of the best things he talked about.
I've always wanted to ask you this. How do most police officers feel about gun control? Do they want more of it?
Well, I think that obviously it's a common sense thing. The president said you have to have common sense gun control. That's what it is, common sense. You have to have background checks. People that have psychological problems shouldn't be able to buy guns. You can have a waiting period. These are common sense things that I don't see personally, as a former chief commissioner, I don't see a problem with.
Why does everybody think that a common sense approach is somehow a breach, somehow an attack on the Second Amendment?
Honestly, I don't know. I think this is common sense stuff. It keeps people safe. I don't think the police chiefs are against it. I think this is stuff they would endorse.
They gave him a standing ovation. Do you think they're receptive to his message?
This message, absolutely. I think this, from what I saw so far, I think the message is right on point.
Well, he wants to make sure that that nonviolent, drug-addicted offenders who are sitting in jail, using up taxpayer dollars, that they are released shortly thereafter. Do you have any problem with that?
As long as there's no violence. The key is nonviolent. Many first-time offenders, you can get them in addiction programs, you can get them rehabilitated, hopefully diminish their conviction so they can go back into the community. The one thing he mentioned is you put these guys in prison, they become a convicted felon, they learn the prison trade, they learn how to be a criminal, and where are they going? They're going back into communities.
That's all they got.
They're going back into communities as a convicted felon with no education, and they only have a choice to revert to crime. That's not what you want. You want to make sure they go back to something successful.
Bernard Kerik, former New York PD Commissioner, thank you so much.
Thanks, Liz.
We appreciate it.